summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is a high. Your dad is rich and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, now don't you cry.
Ah, that's fantastic. No wonder Lindsay told you I had a beautiful voice. Now, coming back as a recording artist, now, you know, singing in bands, you know, you would have thought one fine day I have to release an album. So, is it a request from someone, or you just a plan and
I had no intention of releasing albums. I was just singing in the hub, just singing my little head off every night, you know, enjoying singing. And people used to come up at the end of a gig and say, "Where do I buy your album?" And I don't have one, you know. So friends of mine started writing songs for me, and they said, you know, look, you should really, and lots of my friends were bringing me music, and I said, yeah, that's cool, I like this, I like that, and I can't play an instrument properly. I'm like 3 chords on, you know, I can play a few chords on keyboard, little chords on guitar, but certainly not a great musician. So I didn't think I could write songs. But my friends, when they were starting to bring me songs, they said, you know, you can really write. You've got really good ears to write music. So I like to set goals, okay? So I set myself a date to record my first album. I was 27 at the time. I set a date to record the album, and I hadn't written a single song. So in 3 months, I set that date 3 months, and I wrote the entire album in that 3 months. And even in the studio, I was still writing, and we hired some great musicians. My dad played on that one. Milroy De Silva played on that one. Yeah, Jesse Jans played on that one. So we had the saxophone player from the John Farnham band too. Steve Williams played saxophone on that. We had some incredible musicians come in, and I'm looking around going, they're playing songs that I made up. That's interesting. And it took off from there.
So all the charts, you wrote all the charts for every musician?
No, I mean, I basically just sing stuff. I sit with people and I can sing parts. So I can actually sing bass lines or sing guitar riffs or sing horn lines because I hear them. So I can actually hear a full song in my head, and then my problem is communicating it. I'm better at it now because I can write basic charts, but back then I was just hoping that people got what I was trying to talk about.
So what's the title of that album?
The first album was called Inheritance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since the first album, how many albums have you released?
So this is number 8.
All right.
This is, 7. Sorry, number 7. Yeah. So we did 6 blues albums, 1 soul EP, and this is the full soul album. Yeah.
Okay. And it's all. Is it through a record company or you just on the independent label?
Everything that I've done has been, so things have been picked up by labels as I went along. So what I do is I usually record, record, and I'm self-funded, so it's independent release, and then I get distribution deals. So that way I actually own the rights of my own music, and so that no one else owns my rights of my music. So if I want to rewrite or re-record, I don't have to buy it off the record company again. So and I've had distribution deals with the US labels, like one in Chicago called Blue Skunk Music, which got my music heard everywhere. It was great. And then another one called The Orchard in the US, and so I've been with 5 record labels all up.
Now in year 2006 you represented Australia for this International Blues Challenge, and it's a great achievement. You know, you have to be the winner in Australia to represent this challenge. Will you be able to briefly tell us about it?
Yeah, look, I mean, I still pinch myself that I got to do that, because all the best blues acts in Melbourne, for example, we all compete against each other, although we're really good friends. We all compete against each other, we're judged, and we have to present mostly original material, because that's what they want to hear is original material. And you get judged, and you go over to Memphis to compete in the International Blues Challenge with about 150 bands from all over the world. And you know, we were lucky enough to go twice over, and I got to play B.B. King's on Beale Street, and it was just you know, and they were singing my music back at me. I was singing a song, and then I'd go, "I love you, baby."
Yeah.
They'd be like, "I love you, baby."
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
It was just the best. It was the best experience I've had musically.
Now, you told me you went twice.
Yep.
So year 2006 and?
Yep. 2013 was the second time.
Okay.
And that time we actually made it into the semi-finals. So out of 150 bands, we made it to the top 40 acts.
Yeah.
So, and it was just a world-class competition. I mean, you're talking about signed record label bands over in the States. So every state in the US sends someone representing. So you got New York, you got Chicago, you got, you know, all the, and we were up against, I think that night, our heat, we were up against New York and Chicago. I can't even remember what else was on that night. It was incredible, you know. And there we were, little Sri Lankan girl from Melbourne, singing blues songs with, you know.
That's a great achievement, Andrea. You know,
it was special.
Something, you've done great. Now, coming back about your music school, how long have you had the music school going?
I'm lucky enough to teach singing for a living. I love my job. I've been doing it for 21 years now.
21 years,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's incredible. I started at the Jans School of Singing, so I worked for David Jans for 8 years. And he was kind enough to start my career off teaching, and he said, you know, you really like people and you like supporting other singers. So he said, why don't you come teach for me? And I was really honoured to do that. So I did that, and you know, went off on my own 8 years later, and I, you know, teach from my garage in my house. I love it, and some incredible singers come through.
Who are they? Just to name a few.
Well, there's been, we've had an ARIA award winner. His name's Daniel Merriweather. So he did some incredible things.
Daniel went through you? Oh
yes,
my gosh.
I taught Daniel when he was like 15 to 17. He was with me.
He was on London charts also.
Yeah,
you know? I mean,
he's incredible. So Daniel
he was actually managed by a Sri Lankan.
Yeah,
Marlon.
Roger, Marlon, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Marlon Records.
That's right.
Yes. I was teaching him that time because he was with part of the Jans School of Singing, but he was my student for 2 years. Then David took him on, then he got signed to the label. Then there was Michael Painter that I taught. Michael did brilliantly on The Voice Australia. And Tim Amatic. So Tim Amatic ended up judging Australia's Got Talent. He used to come to see me when he was living in Canberra, right? So whenever he was in Melbourne, he'd ring me up and go, Andrea, I'm in Melbourne for a month. Can you see me every day and train me? So I'd train him up, and he'd go back to Canberra, then he'd ring me up and goes, all right, I got everything we did last time. Can you see me again for this? And he was incredible. He was such a hard worker. And so, and even now, I've got some great talent coming through. Markia, who I introduced you to. Markia is one of the most incredible songwriters and producers in Sri Lankan. Amazing, amazing. So I'm very honoured in what I do. I love my job.
Now also being a teacher and see the achievements, you know, especially on voice and all this guy who's a judge, you know, for to think, hey, you know, I trained him 7 days a week, you know, many more.
Look, it's incredible. I think sometimes as performers we can get very selfish. You know, if I was just living on tour and if I was just being involved in my own music, I think I would be, you know, a lot of my friends that just do music, they get very insulated and they get very anxious and they're very much, you know, I don't know if they find that much joy in what they do because they don't get to celebrate with other people. You know, with us, when the news came in about my album being on the Living Blues charts, I was teaching a group class and my husband comes in, opens the door, goes, guess what, you're on the Living Blues charts. And everyone in the room, all the students were like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So we got to celebrate together because they get how important it is to get your music heard. And I helped them with all of that. We're releasing 4 new singles for my students this weekend.
Oh, is that right?
At my student showcase. So we're doing that to help their careers.
So now your school will have about 20 or 30 performers doing this little show.
Yeah, the showcase has got 30 performers. I teach about 40 to 50 people. That's all I can handle, but that's a lot in a week. That's a lot, you know, but I help them to write their songs, to get heard, to get gigs, to perform and to release their music. So every step that I've taken in my career is steps that I actually pass on to them.
Yeah,
you know,
correct.
I
That's
actually have written a book on how to write songs.
Yes.
So because I was teaching it for so long, and people, I had these little handouts. So it's like, here's lesson 1, lesson 2.
Yeah.
So I finally put it in a book.
And what's that book title?
It's called The Songwriter's Handbook.
Okay.
And they can buy it on my website, which is andreamarr.com. So, you know, for people who are interested in writing songs, and it's so funny, like you can teach a 7-year-old to write a song,
Yeah.
and you can teach a 65-year-old to write a song who's never done it.
Yeah.
It's such an easy thing to do, because everybody has a story, you know, so all you're trying to do is put your story to music.
Ooh, yeah. Hey, yeah. So life, just a fleeting thing, and my days are numbered. Yes, I know. When I leave, I can't take anything, but my love will stay here after I'm gone. Every day that I'm breathing, I'm grateful, I know. Every day that I'm walking, talking, dancing, flying, grateful, I know. Every day that I'm breathing, ooh, I'm grateful, I know. Every day that I'm walking, talking, dancing, flying, grateful.
There's no better place on earth than you. Yeah, I dream of you, Sri Lanka. Yeah,
I pray for you, Sri